Today I'm back in the magical world of Discworld, once again with the wizards in Unseen Academicals, book 37 in Terry Pratchett's Discworld. In the streets of Ankh-Morpork, they take on anybody and everybody, you know. The trolls wandered down from the mountains and got semi-civilized. The dwarfs clawed up out of their minds and basically conquered Ankh-Morpork years ago. They've got gnomes, they've got vampires, they've got the undead, they've even got gargoyles, werewolves, golems. They've got it all. And now they've got another creature, Mr. Nut, who's, I don't know how much to tell you in this one. He's a goblin or something. And he's basically had a very, very unfortunate early life. And he's been, he's spent many years chained to an anvil, just basically pounding away. And he was rescued by Lady Margalotta in Uberworld and sent down to Ankh-Morpork, and he's seeking worth. He basically wants to be, he wants to have worth. He wants to, have a purpose and generate a purpose. And good old Mr. Nut, he's very delicate creature. He's a very intelligent creature. You can set him a task and he'll figure it out. He's voracious, like gift for knowledge, wanting to do good. And he's wound up getting a job in the university, Unseen University, as a candle wax dribbler, which is, Terry Pratchett. And and basically he works with his his mate Trevor Likely, who loves him as a worker because pretty much Mr. Nut can do 10 times the work, far better than Trevor, and doesn't mind doing Trevor's work. And he's very polite, super polite, and very intelligent. And that in itself is pretty boring. But, so what does Terry do to make this one interesting? Well, he's taken on Hollywood, he's taken on the music industry, he's taken on all the fairy tales he can, he's parodied, or for lack of a better word, so many things. So what next to rip on? Soccer hooliganism. And that's what we find in Unseen Academicals. The wizards have been bequeathed a large sum of money if they get their reinstate their and compete in a foot de ball match. And so we learn, foot de ball is basically just chaos. Terry Pratchett, the English hooliganism, which, being an Australian, I only know a little bit about from movies and some of the craziness, from back in the, I think it was the 80s was when it was at its peak, but I might be wrong that day. And, the violence and the violence on the field, but then the shove, the fans, the spectators beating each other up, and, if you're not in West Ham or wherever, which, from movies had a crap team, but their hooligan firm was pretty brutal. Sort of playing with that notion and how it went from these street thugs into something a little bit more mainstream. And for all intent and purpose, everyone believes Lord Vetinari doesn't like hooliganism, but he's legitimizing it. So, basically, he's legitimized it and he's put the wizards in it who happen to want to do it, but don't want to do it because Vetinari is making them do it. They want to do it for the money reason, but Ridcully and that, they're getting a team. And Ponderstibbon's naturally in charge, because if you have something and you need to get it done, make sure you give it to someone who's already busy. And Ponderstibbons is basically the busiest person at the university. So he's in charge. they have no clue. You know, a bunch of fat old wizards that spend all their time eating basically aren't going to be that good. But the old, you know, the clubs, the Dolly Sisters clubs, and you know the other local clubs, it's more a brawl. It's just a brawl on the field, and then it's a brawl off the field. So they're trying to legitimize it. They've come up with some new rules and trying to make it something a little bit more. And good old Trevor Likely, he's a master with the tin can. He can do things with a tin can, you know. Pele and Messi and all them would kill to be able to do. But he's not actually allowed to play soccer because his dad, Dave Likely, got carted off the field and, you know, basically dead. Not basically dead, he was dead. So his dear old mum, you know, forbid him from ever playing football. But now that it's getting legitimate, you know, things are starting to change. And he gets roped in to help with the team as they're practicing and yeah, so that's sort of where this one sort of kicks off. Then we've got the old dean who's gone away to another university, and basically he's come back. So just that byplay of that subplot with the dean, what's his name, as Rid Cuddy used to call him, and who's just the dean. He's no longer the dean, he's now an arch-chancellor, which, yeah, Rid Cully, the arch-chancellor on St. Agnes, is not at all pleased with. And he even tried poaching young Ponda Stibbins, which, despite the fact that Ponda said no, is another thing that's not pleasing the dean. But yeah, so good old Terry Pratchett. And I wonder, I don't know, he doesn't strike me as a football fan. Maybe he was, I don't know, you know. But he certainly has a lot of fun with this one, and you know, that hooliganism, and there's some stuff I sort of picked up from movies and that screams at me, but like UK people and that, I imagine, would know a lot of these inside jokes, which is a typical of Terry Pratchett. There's always layers to his humour and jokes if you know kind of jokes, and I reckon this one would be filled with them. But being an outsider in Australia, you don't have that knowledge. But there is that, you know, Trevor Likely trying to teach Mr. Nutt, who's beyond posh, you know, the way he speaks the proper English, and you know, but Trevor Likely's a bit of a lad, he's a bit of a larrikin, you know, and so he's teaching him how to not be so posh and fit in with the boys. But of course, football hooliganism, there's always that psycho, there's always that, you know, that hard nut Andy who's just not like other people, you know. He's there for the brawl. He's not a player. He's a fighter, and he's he's basically out for blood, and he's one of those people that just like that he'll snap, and it's 1 minute it's friendly, next minute he's knifing you in the back. But Mr. Nutt, you know, being strapped to an anvil, and despite the fact that he's been taken out and he's been educated and shown kindness, which is the theme of this one. It's like what you can do with people when you start realizing that they're people and they're not, you know. Based on our prejudices, we start opening up and understanding who we are as people, even though, you know, Ankh-Morpork is filled with rock-type people, short little stumpy people with beards, blood-sucking people, and everything in between. You know, and Mr. Nutt he's one of those type of people, but he's something else as well. And once people start realising there's something, well, that's when the prejudice really start kicking in. That's when the fun and the trouble really begins. And I'd love to tell you what it is, but you're going to have to read it. But yeah, so it sort of curves my thing. And naturally, it's a soccer movie. So eventually they're going to have to play foot de ball, and which is, it's a lot of fun. But so they do the scene Academicals, the university team, and naturally the librarian is the goalie when, you're an orangutan and got a reach and 4 hands. Basically, you're the goal. But in the shove, they're not taking no for an answer, and so they do a combined team, a united team of all the other little clubs. They've got the captains together. Veterinary invited them for drinks and got them all to sign on to the new rules, and which had some of the old rules. And the cup, oh man, the cup. I can't remember how he described it, but it's basically a bunch of men in the nude. And yeah, so that's another little gem. I wish, if I had I read this so many years ago, it's not funny. If I had have read it now for this review I'm doing for you now, I listen to it and then and I remember as soon as I get to certain parts, I know what's going on. I giggle into myself because I know what's coming, and that's what I've loved about doing these reviews, particularly the Terry Pratchett ones. If I had have actually been able to tab some of the things to describe the way Terry Pratchett describes some of this, particularly the naked men in the cup, I was pissing myself while I was driving along the other day listening, and yeah, but I don't have the words for you right now, unfortunately. But yeah, so they're playing for the cup, and yeah, we've got this united side from all the little clubs as an exhibition to show them how it goes. But unfortunately, as well as the captains and a few of the players, they've also got people out of the shove, including the Andy and the Psycho, for this epic finals, or not final, but the big soccer match that we've all been waiting for. And it messes with football as a religion and that, and he really plays on that sort of notion. And as an Australian, it's Aussie rules over here, although if you go a little bit north, it's rugby, but it's Aussie rules has the bigger following here. But soccer around the world, and there's just this fanatical, the way players and clubs are worshipped is a real religious sort of fanaticism. A lot more people worship football players than God or any other deity. So that's not really here. So he really plays with that, the typical Terry Pratchett and Discworld novel, the religious side of it. But watching Mr. Nutt stand up and grow, and understanding that if you give people a chance to be their better selves and be the best that they can be, that no matter where you begin in life, that you can, or everyone has worth, and it's so obvious in this that everyone has worth, and it's really good. And again, it's not preachy. Terry is just that masterstroke of, if you've any sort of in tune mind, you can pick up the subtle hints of what's going on while enjoying a quirky, funny, hilarious story. And and it's all this Cockney slang and all these little witticisms of football hooligans. Like I said, there's some I know from movies and that, but there'll be others that I'm not picking up because it's not a life I've lived. So yeah, if you're a soccer fan, English soccer fan, and in that environment, you would pick up these for sure, absolutely for sure. And typical Terry Pratchett book. Hex is back again. He's not a necromancer. I forget the official title that they call it, because you can't have a necromancer, but the title that they've given him, he's having a lot of fun with. Oh, and Glenda and the Julieta, there's two ladies that are basically the real sort of stars of the story. I've kind of totally blanked them. Oh my god, I wasn't going to talk about it. And she's this master of pies, basically, and so she does the pie, but the wizards naturally think it's this other young lady that is gorgeous and with the legs, but no, it's not her. It's the other one. And we learn about the crab bucket, and that's really one of the big lessons in life, and it's that a crab that crawls its way out, the other crabs pull it back into life, and that's again it doesn't matter where you are. You know, you can find your way out of these things, but so often in life, we, instead of helping rise each other up, we drag each other back down, and that's what this is really about. And the crab bucket metaphor, and yeah, unfortunately, that happens so much. You know, where people are just dragging themselves down, and it's, you know, by the people that are in our lives that don't mean to. I don't think that's, you know, they're not deliberately doing. And yeah, so it's Juliet and Glenda. But yeah, and so she's a master of pies, and once she realizes that she's been the crab bucket to her friends, she's been, you know, because she's that one that does everything for everybody. And once you realize that not only, alright, it makes you feel good, but it's not a good in, I'm just helping someone, I feel good. It's I'm better than someone because I'm always the one helping. And that's sort of another big lesson in this book, that, you know, it's we don't always help each other for the right reasons, and sometimes when we're helping people, we're dragging them back into that bucket. So yeah, this one's chock full of those little undercurrents of nuance and brilliance. Again, in a ripping story about soccer, about foot de ball. And yeah, another brilliant Terry Pratchett Discworld. Happy reading. Subscribe and follow for more if you think you're hard enough.